What if the woman a rancher married for survival was the same girl he lost in childhood? Eli Boone only wanted help saving his empty ranch, but on his wedding night, he opened his old Bible and found his new wife's name already written there. The town called Anna a stranger, but the past knew her first. And when fire threatened Cedar Ridge, both of them would discover whether their marriage was a bargain or a love that had waited 17 years. This is the story of two wounded people who thought they were starting over with a stranger, only to discover they had been carrying pieces of the same broken memory for 17 years. And before their quiet marriage could become love, they would have to face the one promise neither of them had truly forgotten. The name already written. In the spring of 1879, Cedar Ridge, Wyoming Territory, was not the kind of town that welcomed softness. It was a place of hard wind, hard work, and harder opinions. Men measured one another by land, cattle, and silence. Women were judged by how much pain they could carry without speaking of it. Eli Boone owned a modest ranch 3 miles north of town, where the grass grew thin and the winters came early. He was 32 years old, tall, quiet, and known as a man who paid his debts, kept his word, and rarely smiled. People called him dependable. They did not call him happy. His cabin had 2 rooms, 1 table, 1 bed, and 1 chair that he used every evening. Against the wall, on a shelf above the hearth, sat the small brown Bible his mother had carried west before fever took her. The Bible had a torn back page. Eli never knew who had torn it out. He only knew the book had survived when so much else had not. When he was a boy, a fever camp near Fort Kearny had scattered his life like ashes in the wind. His mother died there. His father disappeared looking for medicine and never returned. Eli remembered wagons, cold ground, crying children, and one little girl who had held his hand through the worst night. Her hair had been tied with a blue ribbon. Her voice had trembled when she asked him not to forget her. But the army moved the children. Families took some east and some west. Eli was sent with a freight man to work for food. The girl vanished from his life before sunrise. For years, he remembered only her first name, Anna. Sometimes he thought he had imagined her. Sometimes he feared he had not. By 1879, Eli had learned not to ask the past for anything. The past gave nothing back. But his ranch was failing in a quiet way. Not from laziness. Not from drink. From emptiness. There was too much work for one man. Too much silence at night. Too many meals eaten standing at the stove because sitting alone felt worse. When his nearest neighbor, Martha Wilkes, saw the state of his cabin, she told him plain, "Eli Boone, you need a wife or a grave. One of them is coming for you." He did not laugh. A month later, he placed a marriage notice through a church paper back east. It was simple and honest. Wyoming rancher seeks respectable wife. Safe home. Hard work. No false promises. Marriage before preacher required. He expected no answer. But to understand why a stranger's name would one day shake him to his core, we have to remember one thing first. A boy made a promise in the dark, 17 years before he ever thought to place that notice. The bride from the train. Then a letter came. The handwriting was neat, careful, and a little faded, as if the writer had paused over every word. Her name was Anna Mae Porter. She was a widow from Missouri. She could cook, sew, keep accounts, tend a garden, and work without complaint. She asked for no romance, only respect, shelter, and the chance to begin again. At the bottom, she had written one sentence that stayed with him. "I do not need a man to save me, Mr. Boone. I only need a place where the past is not waiting at the door." Eli read that line 3 times. Then he sent the train fare. Anna Mae arrived in Cedar Ridge on a gray Thursday with 1 carpet bag, 1 small satchel held close to her ribs, and no one beside her. The train left her in a cloud of steam and coal smoke. She stood on the platform in a dark blue dress that had been mended at the cuffs. She was not delicate. She was tired, but straight-backed. Her face was calm in the way of someone who had taught herself not to expect kindness too quickly. Eli did not know it yet, but the woman stepping down from that train had already lived inside one of his oldest memories. Eli removed his hat. "Mrs. Porter?" She looked at him for one long second. "Mr. Boone." That was their first meeting. No music, No rush of feeling. No grand words. Just two wounded people standing in a wind that smelled of dust and rain. The town watched, of course. The baker's wife looked through her window. The stable boys stopped brushing horses. Old men outside the mercantile leaned closer, pretending not to listen. Eli offered Anna his arm. She did not take it at first. Then, after a small pause, she rested her gloved hand lightly on his sleeve. The preacher married them 1 hour later. Anna spoke her vows clearly. Eli's voice was low, but he did not stumble. When he placed the plain gold ring on her finger, Anna looked down as if she had not expected the ring to be real. Afterward, Eli drove her to the ranch in a wagon with a cracked seat and a folded quilt between them. For most of the ride, they said little. Then Anna spoke. "I have one condition, Mr. Boone." Eli kept his eyes on the road. "Say it." "I will do my duty as your wife. I will keep your home, work beside you, and respect your name. But I ask that you do not question me about the years before Missouri." Eli tightened his hands around the reins. "That much pain?" he asked. Anna looked toward the hills. "That much dust," she said. He understood dust. Dust covered graves. Dust covered memories. Dust covered what no one wanted to explain. "I can agree," he said. She nodded, but her hand moved to the small satchel in her lap. He noticed then that she held it like it carried something alive. She asked him not to question her past, but the past had already followed her into his wagon. That evening, Anna cooked beans, fried potatoes, and biscuits in Eli's silent cabin. She found the spare dishes without asking. She swept the floor while supper warmed. She moved carefully, not like a guest, but not yet like someone at home. Eli brought in wood. When he returned, she had set the table with 2 places. 2 plates. 2 cups. 2 chairs. Eli stopped at the doorway. For years, 1 chair had been enough. Now the second chair, pulled from the corner and dusted clean, seemed to change the whole room. Anna noticed him looking. "I can put it back," she said. "No," Eli answered. "Leave it." They ate across from each other by lamplight. No soft words passed between them, but something quiet settled in the room. Not love. Not yet. But the first small mercy of not being alone. For the first time in years, the cabin did not look empty. It looked like it was waiting to become a home. Later, after Anna went to the smaller room, Eli took down his mother's Bible. That night, Eli reached for the one book that had survived every loss in his life, never knowing it was about to give one loss back to him. He opened the cover. The pages smelled of smoke, old leather, and time. His father's name was written there, his mother's name beneath it. Then Eli's own name, in his mother's hand. He turned toward the back. That was when he saw it. Not on the family page. Not in his mother's careful writing. On the inside of the back cover, half hidden by age, was a line written in pencil. Anna Mae Porter, Fort Kearney, 1862. "Do not forget me, Eli." The room seemed to lose its air. Eli stared at the words until the letters blurred. Anna Mae Porter. Not just Anna. Not a dream. Not a memory made soft by grief. A real girl. A real name. And that name now belonged to the woman behind the closed door. Before we go further, ask yourself this. If you found your new wife's name written in your childhood Bible, would you ask her the truth, or keep your promise not to question her past? Eli did not sleep that night, out of town that judges too quickly. By morning, the wind had shifted cold. Anna rose before him and had coffee ready. She wore her dark hair pinned back and her sleeves rolled to the elbow. She looked like a woman prepared to earn her place before anyone offered it. Eli washed her hands as she cut bread. Had those hands once held his in a fever camp? Had that same woman, now grown and guarded, been the little girl with the blue ribbon? He wanted to ask. He had promised not to. For 3 weeks, they lived like that. Close, but careful. Anna proved herself in ways no one could deny. She mended harness straps, planted onions, cleaned the smoke-black stove, and kept account of feed costs better than Eli ever had. She did not complain when wind pushed dust through the window cracks. She did not cry when a calf died. She did not ask for softness, but Eli began giving it anyway. He fixed the loose step before she mentioned it. He left the better piece of bacon on her plate. When she pricked her fingers sewing his torn coat, he brought a clean cloth and said nothing. because kindness sometimes spoke best without words. For 3 weeks, Anna guarded her satchel like it held a wound. And in a way it did. But Cedar Ridge did not give Anna peace. At the mercantile, women stopped talking when she entered. At church, Mrs. Larkin whispered that mail-order wives came west because no decent town back east would keep them. A ranch hand named Coble laughed one afternoon and said Eli had bought himself a wife like a sack of flour. Eli heard it. He moved so fast the man backed into a hitching post. "She is Mrs. Boone," Eli said, his voice quiet enough to frighten everyone near him. "You will speak of her with respect, or you will not speak where I can hear." The town went silent. Eli had never been a man of many words, but when he spoke her name with honor, the whole street understood he meant every letter of it. Anna stood at the edge of the boardwalk, holding a parcel of sugar and thread. For a moment, Eli thought she would thank him. Instead, she turned away. That night, she was distant. "You did not have to fight my battles," she said. "I did not fight," Eli answered. "I corrected him. I have survived worse than words." "I know." "No," she said, and her voice cracked for the first time. "You do not." The pain in her face stopped him. She turned away, then reached for the small satchel she always kept near. But she did not open it. Eli looked toward the Bible on the shelf. The question burned in him. "Were you there? Were you the child I lost?" But a promise was a promise, even when it hurt. The town thought Eli had defended a stranger, but inside his cabin, the truth was waiting on a shelf above the fire. Then late one night, the answer came without his asking. A storm rolled over Cedar Ridge with hard rain and white flashes of lightning. Wind slammed the shutters. Water slipped under the back door. Anna woke and rushed to move flour sacks away from the leak. Eli came in from securing the barn and found her kneeling near the hearth, her satchel open beside her. A gust struck the cabin. Papers scattered across the floor. Anna froze. What do you think Anna was hiding in that satchel? A letter, a memory, or something Eli was never meant to see? Eli bent to gather them, then stopped. In his hand was a torn Bible page. Old, brown at the edges. And on it, in a child's uneven hand, was written, "Eli Boone gave me his bread. I will find him again. Anna May." Eli could not speak. Anna slowly stood. The rain beat against the roof like 1,000 small fists. "Where did you get this?" he asked. Her face had gone pale. "I have carried it since I was 8 years old." "Fort Kearney," he said. Her eyes filled. For the first time since the train platform, she looked afraid. "You remember?" Eli stepped back as if the truth had struck him in the chest. "I remembered Anna," he said. "I did not remember Porter." She pressed one hand over her mouth. "I thought you died," she whispered. The past opened between them. Not gently, not cleanly, like an old wound breaking under weather. Anna told him in pieces. She had been at the fever camp with an aunt who died before morning. She remembered a boy named Eli who gave her the last of his bread and told her not to cry too loud because it made the younger children more afraid. She remembered his mother's Bible. She remembered tearing a loose page from the back when soldiers came to separate them, because she wanted proof he had been real. "I wrote your name on my page," she said. "And you wrote mine in the book." Eli looked at the Bible on the shelf. The torn place in the back. The missing page. The name. The promise. All those years, each had carried half the same memory. Anna wiped her face quickly, ashamed of tears. "I did not know it was you when I answered the notice. I only knew your name was Boone. There are many Boones. Why did you not ask?" "Because hope can be cruel," she said. And I had no strength left for cruelty. Eli wanted to cross the room. He wanted to take her hand and apologize for every year she had felt forgotten. But Anna closed the satchel. "Please," she said softly, "do not turn this into a debt." "It is not a debt." "Then what is it?" Eli looked at the Bible, then at the woman who had once been a child in the dark beside him. "I do not know yet," he said, "but it is not nothing." After that night, everything changed and nothing changed. They still rose before dawn, still worked cattle, still ate simple meals. But silence no longer felt empty. It felt full of things waiting to be understood. Eli began telling Anna small pieces of his past. She told him about Missouri, about sewing until her fingers ached, about a brief marriage to a kind older widower who had died of lung fever and left her with debts that were not truly hers. She had not come west to be rescued. She had come west because she was tired of being buried under other people's endings. Eli listened, and Anna, who had learned to trust work more than words, began to trust the way he stayed the fire on the ridge. Then trouble came with smoke on the horizon. It was late summer, dry as bone. Grass crackled under boots. The creek had pulled back from its banks. Everyone knew one spark could turn the valley into a grave. The spark came from a lightning strike beyond Miller's Ridge. By afternoon, the sky over Cedar Ridge had turned the color of rust. The fire was moving faster than any horse could outrun, and between the smoke and the town stood a schoolhouse full of children. Eli was too far away to reach them first. So Anna made the choice that would show everyone who she truly was. Men rode out with wet sacks, shovels, and terror hidden under orders. Women hauled water. Children cried in the church cellar. Eli was at the far pasture when the bell began ringing in town. Anna saw the smoke first from the cabin porch. The fire line was moving fast. Too fast. And between the ranch and town stood the old schoolhouse, where 6 children had been kept late because the teacher feared sending them home through smoke. The fire was not only coming for the town. It was coming for the part of Anna that still remembered being a frightened child no one could save. Anna did not wait for permission. She hitched the wagon herself, threw wet quilts into the back, and drove toward the schoolhouse with ash falling in her hair. By the time Eli saw the wagon, the sky had turned copper. He rode hard, heart pounding with a fear he knew too well. Fear of being a boy again. Fear of losing Anna twice. At the schoolhouse, Anna had already wrapped the children in wet cloth and loaded them into the wagon. The teacher had twisted her ankle. Smoke closed around them like a wall. One child screamed that the horses would not move. Anna climbed down, took the lead rope, and walked into the smoke ahead of them. Anna did not move like a woman trying to prove herself. She moved like someone who knew what it felt like to be the child no one came back for. Not because she was fearless, because courage is not the lack of fear. It is choosing who needs you more than fear does. Eli reached them as a burning branch fell across the road. He did not call Anna foolish. He did not order her aside. He jumped down, pulled the branch away with gloved hands, and burned his palms through the leather. Together, they got the wagon moving. Together, they brought the children through the smoke. By the time they reached town, half of Cedar Ridge was watching. Anna's dress was scorched at the hem. Eli's hands were blistered. The teacher was crying. The children clung to Anna as if she had carried them out of the fire with her own arms. No one whispered then. Mrs. Larkin, who had once called Anna a mail-order wife with a sour mouth, stepped forward with shaking hands. "Mrs. Boone," she said, "you saved them." Anna looked at Eli. Her face was streaked with ash. Eli looked back at her, and in front of the whole town, he took her burned, trembling hand in his. "No," he said. "She brought them home." That night, the fire passed north. The ranch survived, though part of the pasture was blackened. Cedar Ridge survived too, humbled and quiet. Eli and Anna returned to the cabin long after dark. On the shelf, the brown Bible waited. Anna took the torn page from her satchel. For years, she had kept it folded in cloth. Her proof that someone had once been kind to her when the world was falling apart. Now she placed it beside the Bible. The torn edges matched. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. Then Anna said, "I carried my half because I thought it was all I would ever have." Eli touched the old cover. "I kept my half and did not even know it." Anna smiled faintly. "That sounds like a man." For the first time in years, Eli laughed. Not loudly, not for long, but enough to make the cabin feel warmer than the last name in the Bible. Winter came early that year, but it did not find Eli Boone alone. Anna hung curtains from flour sacks and planted herbs in chipped cups near the window. Eli built a proper pantry and added another chair to the table. Then another after Martha Wilkes brought a motherless boy and his little sister to the ranch for supper one cold evening. Their parents had died on the trail. The town planned to send them east. Anna looked at the little girl's blue ribbon and went still. Eli saw it too. The past had a way of returning, not always to hurt, but sometimes to ask what kind of people pain had made. The boy was named Samuel. His sister was Grace. They stayed one night, then a week, then forever. The Bible had once held the names of the dead and the lost. Now Eli had to decide if it could hold the names of the living too. And if two people who had lost everything were given the chance to open their home to children with nowhere to go, what would you hope they would choose? By Christmas, the cabin had become a noisy place. Boots by the door, small stockings by the hearth. A second chair had become 4, and the Bible on the shelf no longer felt like a grave marker. It felt like a beginning. On Christmas Eve, snow fell soft over Cedar Ridge. Eli took down the Bible and set it on the table. Anna brought the torn page, now carefully pressed flat. Together, they placed it back inside the cover. The tear still showed. It always would. But the page belonged there. The torn page did not make the Bible whole because the tear disappeared. It made the Bible whole because the missing piece had finally come home. Eli dipped the pen in ink. His hand paused over the family record. Anna stood beside him, one hand resting on his shoulder. First, he wrote, Eli Boone and Anna Mae Boone, married April 17, 1879. Then beneath it, Samuel Boone, taken into our home, December 1879. Grace Boone, taken into our home, December 1879. The little girl leaned against Anna's skirt. Samuel watched Eli with wide, careful eyes, the way boys watch men when they are deciding whether the world can be trusted again. Eli handed him the pen. Families are not only made by blood, Eli said. Sometimes they are made by who stays. Samuel looked at Anna. Anna nodded. The boy added one small mark beside his name. Not perfect, not straight, but his. And when Eli wrote Anna's name beside his own that night, it was no longer the name of a girl he had lost. It was the name of the woman who had stayed. Later, after the children slept, Anna and Eli sat by the low fire. The Bible rested between them. Anna touched the old pencil words from 1862. Do not forget me, Eli. You didn't, she whispered. Eli looked at the woman he had married as a stranger, found as a memory, and loved as his own choice. I almost did, he said. No, Anna answered softly. You remembered in the way that mattered. Outside, snow covered the black scars where the fire had crossed the land. By spring, grass would return. It always did, given time. Eli reached for Anna's hand, and this time, she gave it freely. Years later, when people in Cedar Ridge spoke of the Boone Ranch, they did not speak first of cattle, land, or weather. They spoke of the cabin where no child was turned away hungry. They spoke of Mrs. Boone, who could calm a frightened horse, silence a cruel tongue, and sew a torn coat so well a man forgot it had ever been ripped. They spoke of Eli Boone, who had once been the loneliest man in the county, until a train brought him a wife whose name had been waiting in his Bible for 17 years. And on quiet evenings, when the children asked how their family began, Anna would open the small brown Bible and show them the torn page. She would show them the childish writing. Eli Boone gave me his bread. I will find him again. Anna Mae. Then Eli would turn the page and show the names written after. Not just names of birth, names of belonging. Because sometimes love does not arrive like thunder. Sometimes it comes as a letter, a train ticket, a plain gold ring, a torn page kept through years of sorrow. Sometimes a stranger walks into your life carrying the missing half of your oldest prayer. And sometimes, when the past returns, it does not come to take what is left. It comes to give back what was never truly lost. The Bible remained on the Boone family table for the rest of their days. Its leather stayed cracked. Its pages stayed worn. The tear in the back never disappeared, but neither did the names. And beneath them all, written years later in Anna's careful hand, were the words that told the whole story. What love remembers, time cannot bury. If this story touched your heart, share in the comments what you think Eli should have done when he first found Anna's name in the Bible. And if you enjoy quiet frontier love stories about second chances, lost promises, and families made by faith and courage, watch the next story waiting for you on the channel.